What's up everyone? Jared here from Drip Drop Vapor Shop one more time with a coil build. Today we're going to be doing the parallel with our man Tyler. He is here tonight to do it for us, and if you want great flavor, great cloud production, the parallel is the way you want to go. So here we go, we're going to dive on in and get a coil build for you. So let's do this.
What we're going to be working on is a parallel build. We're going to do a 26 gauge on a 3 mil wrap. Usually comes out to a 0.17. It's my preferred build that I have in multiple of my RDAs. I love it as far as flavor production. I vape it around anywhere from 80 consistently. I can rip it up to 120 watts, and the dense cloud, the flavor, everything you get out of it is phenomenal to me. It's always been my #1 go-to. So we're going to dive down, we're going to take a look at it, I'm going to walk you guys through it, and hopefully you like it. Alright, so what I'm going to be wrapping this with is 26 gauge Canthal. We sell this here also. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and I'm going to roll out, about 2 feet. It's always better to have too much wire than not enough. Alright, now that we've got it stretched out, we're going to take our wire cutters, cut it off. Now the one thing that I do is I use a drill. What the drill does is when you put the wire in there, and you spin the drill, it's going to straighten out the wire. See, it's all curved up, it's still rolled. Okay, stick it in there. Alright, so we tighten this down, we get this really tight. You do not want this wire to come out while you're twisting it. Alright, so what this does is when you straighten this wire out, and you grab the other end, hold on to it tight, straighten it out, and we're going to spin it for just a few seconds. This really doesn't pertain to actually building the coil, it just helps you build the coil a little bit easier. So, when you make sure the wire's straight, what you're going to do is you're going to grab with your fingers at the very end, because when you let go of these pliers, that wire is going to twist back just a little bit, and you don't want it to bind the wire up. So when you're holding on with your fingers, you let go, it spins a little bit, then you can let it go. We've got perfectly straight Canthal wire. No binds, no kinks, perfectly straight. It's a lot easier to work with when it's like this. Like I said, you don't have to do this. It's just something I do because it's a little bit easier. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this wire and we're going to fold it in half. You're going to put the 2 points together at the end. Now we're not going to fold it hard yet at the bottom. All we want to do is find out where the middle is. Just run your hand down a little bit and you're just going to lightly pinch it. Just so you can get a general idea where the middle of that wire is. So when you get that, what we're going to do is we're just going to cut it right in the middle. There's going to be a slight bend in the wire. Just take your finger, straighten it out the best you can. We're not too worried about that. Same as the other side. Now, we're going to start on our first coil. Now you've got this piece of wire. What we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing over again that we just did. Put the 2 ends together. Now this time, we're going to squeeze the bottom and get it as close as we can with our fingers. Okay, so now we're right here. And when it crosses like this, that's fine. We're going to straighten that out. So when it comes to its point where it crosses, you're going to hold your fingers. You're going to take your set of pliers. What we're going to do is we're slowly going to pinch it as we squeeze it down. And when it gets flat against the bottom part of my pliers, I'm going to push down with my fingers and slightly pinch it together. You want these wires to stay parallel with each other, but you also want them as close as possible. Now what that's going to do is that's going to give you a good lead for the rest of your wire to follow. Now we're going to hold that same part that we just pinched off. It will be crossed a little bit, but all we're going to do is bend it straight again, and we're going to stick our finger through the middle. We're just going to run it up just a little bit just to stretch it back out, and it doesn't cross as bad. That's perfectly fine when wrapping these. Now what I do is I take my fingers, I hold them together, and just give it a little wiggle while you're pinching it, and you're going to straighten that wire out. Now we're going to start to wrap it around our screwdriver. Alright. Now we're going to wrap it around our screwdriver. This is a 3mm screwdriver. So what we're going to do is we're going to take your fingers, you're going to lay that wire across the back of this screwdriver, and you're going to push up against this screwdriver with your finger. Now what I like to do is hold the bottom part of the wire with your thumb and your index finger, and you're going to pull it down and keep tension on it. But with that index finger, you want to push up against the screwdriver. And to start this first wrap, you're just going to roll your finger. You're going to roll the whole thing while pulling. Now what that's going to do is that's going to be a smooth wrap. That's going to be a good base for your first wrap. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our fingers and we're going to grab the other side that was hanging over. Alright, we're going to hold on to it and we're just going to pull up with our right hand. Boom, there's your first wrap. Now what we're going to do from here on out is we're going to turn our hand over and we're just going to lap it over as we hold the other side with your thumb, keeping it nice and steady and as straight as possible. The key to a parallel is you do not want your wires to overlap. If they do, it's going to cause trouble. You can work it out, but we try to avoid that all we can. So we're just going to consistently wrap this wire slow and steady, keeping it as close as possible as we can. Alright, so when you're done wrapping your coil, you can easily just pull it off. And when it's done, it should be pretty flush all the way around. There's one or two very small gaps in there, but that's perfectly fine. We're going to work those out once we start to heat this coil up. Alright, so now we're going to install the coils. We're going to unscrew our hex screws. Alright, now we got all our screws backed out. Alright, so now we're going to put our coils in here. Now the key to this is having enough room when you put them in to be able to slide them over just a little bit. We're going to tighten down our positive and negative. Now at first, we don't want to tighten it down too tight. So just give it a little nudge, just to hold it in there for now. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. Now that we've got our coil set, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the rest of our leads we have hanging off. Alright, now that we've got our leads cut, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our coils are straight. Now that we've got them in the general area where we want them, now we're going to go ahead and tighten down our leads all the way. And with ceramic tweezers, don't do stainless steel or anything like that because you'll short these out and it'll just be bad. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hold this coil together. We're going to pinch it together. Not very hard, because once these coils heat up, they get really hot and they're going to be very pliable. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a couple of tugs. You'll see it start to glow. Now with the parallels, when they get hot, you're going to notice some of the strands start to go off in a general direction on their own. That's perfectly fine. It's going to happen. What you're going to do is you're going to slightly squeeze on the coils as they're heating up, and they're going to fall together perfectly. There's not going to be any gaps. See? Perfectly straight. Nice wrapped. Now this other side, the center of it over here started to move outward, like the inside sunk in. So all we're going to do is we're going to heat it up a little bit. Alright. Get it nice and hot, and then we're going to, after we take our finger off the button, we're going to stick our screwdriver back through there real quick. And we're just going to pull outwards, away from the RDA. Okay, just hold it for a second. Alright, there. It's straight again. See, that's nothing we got to worry about. So now we're going to come back over here and we're going to do the same thing that we did on the other side. We're going to heat it up a little bit. Alright, it's going to get hot. Straighten it out. Beautiful. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to juice it up, and then we're going to give it a vape and see how it turns out. Nice, I like it. Alright, now let's see what we can do here.
Nice and dense. Good cloud production. So if you like our videos, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and let everybody know what we're doing down here at Drip Drop Vapor Shop. Boom.